Captain Zexara felt the ship shake again. The beautiful crystal walls of the Serenity's dawn sparkled as another power surge ran through the systems. She pressed her long, thin fingers against the smooth control panel and tried not to panic. "Report," she said in her musical voice. The Velthuri language sounded like singing to most other species, but right now her words carried worry. Engineer Kyleth looked up from his station. His crystal-like skin was glowing blue, which meant he was stressed. "The quantum drive is failing, Captain. The energy readings are all wrong. I have never seen anything like this before." Zexara moved across the bridge with grace. Her people were tall and thin, like living works of art made from precious stones. They had evolved on peaceful worlds, where the biggest danger was a gentle rainstorm. Their technology was beautiful and advanced, but it was also delicate. "How long do we have?" she asked. "Maybe 6 hours before complete system failure," Kyleth replied. "The life support will go first, then the gravity generators. After that, ... He did not need to finish. The Serenity's Dawn was a colony ship carrying 3,000 Velthuri to their new home world. They were explorers and artists, not fighters. They had left their home system 5 years ago, traveling slowly through space, stopping to study interesting planets and make contact with friendly species. Now they were stranded at the edge of known space. The nearest Velthuri outpost was months away, even with a working quantum drive. No other ships were supposed to be in this area. "Captain," called Navigation Officer Sinara from her station. "I am detecting something strange about this region of space." "What do you mean?" Zexara asked. "According to the Galactic database, this entire solar system is marked with warning symbols. It says quarantine zone and something called Deathworld classification." Extreme Zexara felt her crystalline heart skip a beat. Deathworlds were places where life had evolved under terrible conditions. Most civilized species avoided such places. The few reports she had heard spoke of worlds where creatures fought constantly just to survive. "Are there any inhabited planets in this system?" she asked. Sin single quotes Era checked her instruments. "Yes, Captain. The third planet from the star shows signs of a technological civilization. But the environmental readings are disturbing." "How disturbing?" "The planet has violent weather systems. Massive storms that could destroy cities. The surface is covered with aggressive plant and animal life. The gravity is much stronger than our homeworlds, and the radiation from their star would be harmful to most species." Zexara closed her eyes for a moment. Her people had a choice. They could try to fix their ship themselves and probably die when the life support failed. Or they could send a distress call to the Deathworld and hope its inhabitants were not as dangerous as the warnings suggested. "Captain," Kyleth said urgently. "Another power surge. The quantum drive just went completely offline. We are now running on emergency power only." "How long will that last?" 3 hours. Maybe 4 if we shut down all non-essential systems." Zexara made her decision. "Sinara, prepare a general distress beacon. Send it on all frequencies." "What should the message say, Captain?" Zexara thought carefully. She wanted to sound peaceful and non-threatening. "Say this: peaceful explorers in distress. Require immediate assistance. Our technology has failed. Please respond with aid." "Should I mention our species or our ship's capabilities?" Sinara asked. "No, keep it simple. We do not want to give any aggressive species information they could use against us." Sinara worked at her station, her crystal fingers dancing over the controls. "Message prepared, Captain. Send it now. Broadcast on all emergency frequencies." The message went out into space at the speed of light. It would reach the third planet in just a few minutes. Now, all they could do was wait and hope. "Captain," called Medical Officer Hexari from her station. "I should warn you about something. I have been studying the biological data from that planet." "What have you found?" "The life forms there are unlike anything in our records. They seem to have evolved to survive in extremely hostile conditions. Their biology suggests they are adapted for violence and conflict. Zexara felt her hope beginning to fade. Are you saying they might be dangerous? I am saying they are probably the most dangerous species we have ever encountered. But Captain, they might also be our only chance. The bridge fell silent except for the humming of the emergency power systems. Outside the crystal windows, the stars looked cold and distant. The Serenity's dawn drifted helplessly through space. Its beautiful technology failing piece by piece. In the medical bay, families gathered together. Children asked their parents why the pretty lights on the walls were flickering. The adults tried to stay calm, but everyone could feel the ship dying around them. Any response to our signal? Zexara asked. Not yet, Captain, but it has only been 15 minutes. Zexara walked to the main window and looked out at the nearby star system. Somewhere out there, on a world that sounded like a nightmare, there might be beings who could save them, or beings who would destroy them. She touched the communication panel one more time. This is Captain Zexara, of the Valkyrie colony ship Serenity's Dawn. We are peaceful people in desperate need of help. Our ship is dying and we have nowhere else to turn. If anyone can hear this message, please help us. We have children aboard. The message joined the first one, racing through space, toward the third planet. All 3,000 souls on the Serenity's Dawn could do now was wait and pray that whoever lived on that dangerous world had mercy in their hearts. Lieutenant Commander Jake Morrison was drinking his third cup of coffee when the alert came through. He had been working the night shift at the Alaskan Deep Space Monitoring Station for 8 years, and most nights were quiet. Too quiet. The emergency beacon lit up his console like a Christmas tree. Jake nearly dropped his coffee as multiple alarms started going off at once. What the hell? He muttered, pulling up the signal analysis. The message was clear and desperate. 2 separate transmissions from the same source, both asking for help. Jake's training kicked in immediately. He ran the signal through the computer systems to find its origin point. Son of a bitch, he whispered when he saw the location. The signals were coming from just outside their solar system. That meant aliens. Real, honest-God aliens were calling for help. Jake hit the emergency alert button. Within seconds, red lights were flashing throughout the station. His supervisor, Colonel Patricia Ayes, came running into the communications room. Talk to me, Morrison, she said, still buttoning her uniform jacket. We have a situation, Colonel. Multiple distress signals from an unknown vessel, approximately 18 hours out from Earth. The signals claimed to be from peaceful explorers, with failed technology. Colonel Hayes studied the data on Jake's screen. She had been in the military for 25 years, and had seen everything from terrorist attacks to asteroid impacts. But this was different. Could be a trap, she said. Pirates or raiders, using a fake distress call. That's what I thought too, ma'am. But the signal pattern and energy signature don't match anything in our databases. This looks genuine. Hayes made her decision quickly. Alert General Richards at Space Command. Tell him we need the Iron Eagle prepped for immediate launch. Full combat loadout. Yes, ma'am. Jake sent the alert to Peterson Space Force Base in Colorado. Within minutes, the rapid response team was being assembled. The Iron Eagle was humanity's fastest deep space vessel, designed for quick military operations beyond Earth's orbit. Captain Ryan Bell was sleeping in his quarters when the call came. He had been on standby for 3 weeks, waiting for something interesting to happen. At 38 years old, he had commanded successful missions to Mars, the asteroid belt, and even the outer planets. But this would be his first potential alien contact. Sir, you need to get to the launch bay immediately. His aide told him over the comm system. Ryan was dressed and running down the corridor within 5 minutes. The Iron Eagle's hangar was buzzing with activity. Technicians were loading weapons and supplies while the flight crew ran final checks on the ship's systems. Captain? Sergeant Lisa Coleman jogged up to him. She was a compact woman with short blonde hair and scars on her hands from her demolitions work. I heard we might be dealing with aliens. That's right, Coleman. Get your gear ready. We launch in 1 hour. What's our mission profile, sir? Rescue operation. But we go in ready for anything. Ryan walked through the hangar, checking on his team. Corporal Dan Hughes was loading medical supplies into the ship's infirmary. Dan was a tall, quiet man who had saved more lives than anyone could count. If there were injured aliens on that ship, Dan would know how to help them. Doc, you ready for this? Ryan asked. As ready as anyone can be for first contact with an alien species, Dan replied. I've been reading everything we have on xenobiology. It's not much. Do your best. That's all any of us can do. Private Amy Foster was the newest member of the team. At 22, she was eager to prove herself on her first major mission. She was checking and rechecking her equipment, nervous, energy making her hands shake slightly. Foster, you okay? Ryan asked. Yes, sir. Just excited, sir. Good. Stay sharp out there. The Iron Eagle was loaded with enough firepower to level a small city. Plasma rifles, explosive charges, and defensive systems that could stop almost any attack. The humans assumed the worst, because that's what had kept them alive for thousands of years on Earth. All systems green, reported the pilot, Major Steve Wilson. We can launch as soon as everyone's aboard. Ryan gathered his team in the briefing room as the Iron Eagle prepared for departure. The 4 of them looked like they were going to war, not on a rescue mission. Their black combat armor was designed to protect against everything from radiation to alien weapons they had never seen. Listen up, Ryan said. We have an alien vessel in distress, 18 hours from Earth. They claim to be peaceful explorers with failed technology. Our job is to provide assistance. What if it's a trap? Lisa asked. Then we deal with it. That's why we're bringing enough firepower to fight our way out of anything. Dan raised his hand. Sir, what do we know about the aliens themselves? Nothing. The message was translated by our computers, but we have no information about their biology, their technology, or their intentions. Amy looked worried. How do we help them if we don't know anything about them? We improvise. We adapt. We do what humans do best. We figure it out as we go. The Iron Eagle lifted off from Earth with a roar of engines that shook the ground for miles around. Jake Morrison watched it disappear into the night sky from his station in Alaska. He had started something that might change human history forever. As the ship accelerated toward the source of the distress signals, Ryan studied what little information they had. The aliens called themselves peaceful explorers. Their technology had failed near Earth's solar system. They were asking for help, but Ryan had learned long ago that the universe was not a safe place. Earth itself had taught humanity that lesson. Every day for millions of years, storms, earthquakes, predators, diseases, everything on their home world had tried to kill them at some point. That harsh upbringing had made humans tough, resourceful, and suspicious. They hoped for the best, but prepared for the worst. ETA to target, 17 hours and 36 minutes, Major Wilson reported from the pilot's seat. Copy that. Everyone get some rest. We have no idea what we're flying into. As the Iron Eagle raced through space toward the alien ship, its crew slept fitfully. They were about to become the first humans to meet another intelligent species. They carried with them all of humanity's hopes and fears about what might be waiting for them among the stars. None of them knew that they were about to meet the most peaceful species in the galaxy, and none of them knew that their reputation as Deathworlders was about to be born. The Iron Eagle dropped out of faster-than-light travel with a flash of blue energy. Captain Ryan Bell studied the alien ship on his main screen and felt his breath catch in his throat. Holy shit, whispered Major Wilson from the pilot's seat. The Serenity's dawn was beautiful in a way that human ships never were. It looked like someone had taken a crystal cathedral and launched it into space. Delicate spires and flowing curves caught the light from the nearby star, making the entire vessel sparkle like a jewel. "Scanning now," reported Lisa Coleman from the weapons station. "I'm reading massive power fluctuations throughout their ship. Looks like their main systems are failing." "Any signs of other vessels in the area?" Ryan asked. "Negative. We're alone out here." Dan Hughes was monitoring the communication channels. "Sir, I'm picking up another transmission from the alien ship. It's the same message as before, but it sounds weaker." Ryan made his decision. "All right, people. We go in careful and ready. Coleman, keep our weapons powered but not targeted. Wilson, take us in slow. Hughes, try to establish communication." "Sir," Amy Foster said from her station. "Should we remove our helmets when we board their ship?" "Negative. Full environmental protection until we know what we're dealing with. Their atmosphere might be poisonous to us." The Iron Eagle approached the alien ship slowly. Ryan could see that the Serenity's dawn was much larger than it had first appeared. It was at least a mile long, big enough to hold thousands of people. "Captain," Dan said, "I'm getting something that might be a response to our hail. Put it through." The speakers filled with a sound like singing. It was beautiful and musical, but the translation system turned it into words that sent chills down Ryan's spine. "Unknown vessel, prepare for battle. We come with weapons of great power. Surrender or be destroyed." Ryan's team instantly went into combat mode. Lisa's hands moved to the weapons controls while Amy checked the defensive systems. "That doesn't sound very peaceful," Lisa said grimly. "Could be a translation error," Dan suggested. "Alien languages might not convert properly to English." Ryan thought about it. The ship didn't look dangerous. It looked like something artists would build, not warriors. But appearances could be deceiving. "We continue with the mission," he decided. "But we go in ready for trouble." The Iron Eagle extended its docking tube toward the alien ship. The connection was smooth, which surprised Ryan. Either these aliens had compatible technology, or they were very good at adapting quickly. "Atmosphere on the other side is breathable," Dan reported. "Oxygen levels are actually higher than Earth normal. Gravity, about half Earth's standard. We'll feel light over there." Ryan stood up and checked his weapons one more time. His plasma rifle was charged and ready. Lisa carried enough explosives to blast through any barriers they might encounter. Dan had his medical kit and a sidearm. Amy was nervous but determined, her rifle held steady in her hands. "Remember, we're here to help," Ryan said. "But if this goes bad, we protect each other first." They crossed through the docking tube and entered the alien ship. The interior was just as beautiful as the outside. The walls were made of some kind of crystal that glowed with soft light. Everything was curved and flowing, like the inside of a seashell. "This place is incredible," Amy whispered. "Stay focused," Ryan warned. They moved through a corridor that was clearly designed for beings much taller than humans. The ceiling was at least 12 feet high, and the doorways were proportioned for giants. "Contact," Dan said suddenly. 3 figures appeared at the end of the corridor. Ryan's first thought was that he was looking at living statues made from precious gems. The aliens were 8 feet tall and impossibly graceful. Their skin looked like polished crystal, and they moved with a fluid elegance that was beautiful to watch. The lead alien stepped forward and began to speak. Again, the sound was like music, but the translation system turned it into something terrifying. "Creatures of darkness, you have come to our domain of death. We welcome you to the feast of destruction." Ryan raised his rifle, and his team immediately followed suit. The aliens froze when they saw the weapons. The lead alien, who was clearly their captain, tried again. This time the translation was even worse. "Blood warriors from the void, we offer our bodies for your consumption. Take our young ones for your slave pits." "Jesus Christ," Lisa muttered. "Are they offering us their children?" The alien captain seemed to realize that something was wrong. She held up her hands in what might have been a peaceful gesture, but the translation system turned her next words into a battle cry. Death to all who oppose us. We shall drink the blood of our enemies and wear their bones as jewelry. That was enough for Lisa. She raised her plasma rifle and shouted, "Nobody move." The aliens panicked. They scattered in different directions, their crystal skin flashing with colors that probably indicated terror. The captain stumbled backward, making sounds that the translation system couldn't even process. "Secure the area," Ryan ordered. His team spread out, moving with military precision through the crystal corridors. The aliens fled before them like frightened deer. Ryan felt sick to his stomach. This was not how first contact was supposed to go. "Sir?" Amy called from a side passage. "I found what looks like a civilian area. There are families here, including children." Ryan's heart sank. The aliens really were peaceful. The translation system was just completely wrong. "Do not engage the civilians," he ordered. "We need to find their captain and figure out how to fix this mess." They found Captain Zexara in what was clearly the ship's bridge. She was huddled behind a crystal console with several other aliens. When she saw the humans approach, she made a sound that was pure music, but the translator turned it into a war chant. "We shall feast on the entrails of the defeated. Victory or death. Glory to the blood god." Ryan stopped and slowly lowered his weapon. "Turn off the translator," he told Dan. "Sir, turn it off. It's obviously broken." With the translator off the bridge, filled with the actual sounds the aliens were making, it was beautiful, like a choir of angels. The alien captain was clearly trying to communicate, but she was also obviously terrified. Ryan pulled off his helmet and set it on the floor. His team stared at him in shock. "Double quotes, sir. What are you doing?" Amy asked. "Showing them we're not monsters." Slowly, Ryan held up his hands with his palms facing the aliens. It was an old human gesture of peace, and he hoped it meant the same thing to them. The alien captain stopped making sounds and stared at him. Her crystal skin was shifting through colors rapidly. She tilted her head like a confused bird. Then she did something that surprised everyone. She reached out with one long, delicate finger and gently touched Ryan's face. Her expression was filled with wonder. "I think," Dan said quietly, "we just made first contact." But Ryan could see more problems ahead. Through the crystal windows of the bridge, he spotted something that made his blood run cold. Ships were approaching from deep space, dark, ugly vessels that looked built for war. The real danger was just beginning. Captain Zexara had never seen anything like the creatures standing before her. They were short and thick compared to her people, built like they were designed for fighting. Their skin was a strange pinkish color, and they had small eyes that seemed to see everything at once. But when the leader removed his head covering, she saw something unexpected in those eyes. Not anger or violence, but confusion and concern. Dan Hughes stepped forward slowly, his medical training telling him to approach like he would any frightened patient. "Captain," he said to Ryan, "I think we need to start over." "No kidding," Lisa muttered, keeping her weapon lowered but ready. Amy Foster had been watching the aliens carefully. Something about their movements reminded her of the deer that used to visit her grandmother's farm. Beautiful, graceful, and absolutely terrified. "Sir," Amy said quietly, "I don't think they're dangerous at all." Ryan nodded. He was thinking the same thing. "Hughes, do you have anything that might help us communicate?" Dan reached into his pack and pulled out his medical tablet. It had translation software for the few alien languages humans knew about, but nothing that would help here. As he scrolled through the options, he accidentally activated his music app. A simple children's song began playing from the tablet's speakers. It was "Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star," something Amy had loaded as a joke months ago. The effect on the aliens was immediate. Captain Zexara's crystal skin shifted to a warm golden color, and she made soft sounds that were clearly pleased. The other aliens on the bridge moved closer, their fear starting to fade. Music, Dan said with wonder. They respond to music. Amy had an idea. She hummed along with the tune, adding her voice to the tablet's simple melody. The aliens seemed to understand that this was a peaceful gesture. Captain Zexora began to hum as well, her voice creating harmony with Amy's. The sound was so beautiful that it made the humans stop and listen in amazement. Slowly, carefully, the two groups began to figure out how to communicate. Ryan pointed to himself and said Ryan. Zexara seemed to understand and pointed to herself, making a musical sound that might have been her name. It took an hour, but they managed to establish basic communication. The aliens were called Velthri. They were explorers from a distant part of the galaxy. Their ship was dying and they needed help. Don was fascinated by the Velthri biology. They were clearly adapted for peaceful environments. Their crystal skin was beautiful but fragile. Their movements were graceful but not suited for physical conflict. Everything about them suggested they had evolved on worlds without predators or violence. Sir, Lisa said, studying the alien technology. Their ship is incredibly advanced, but it's all designed for efficiency and beauty. There are no weapon systems at all. None, Ryan asked. Nothing. No shields, no defensive systems, no armor, plating. This thing is basically a flying artwork. Amy was trying to learn basic Velthri words when Captain Zexara suddenly stiffened. Her skin flashed bright red, and she began making urgent sounds while pointing at something behind the humans. Ryan turned to look out the crystal windows of the bridge. His stomach dropped. 5 dark ships were approaching fast. Unlike the Serenity's Dawn, these vessels were clearly built for war. They had angular designs covered in weapon mounts and armor plating. They looked like sharks moving in for the kill. Shit, Lisa said, recognizing the threat immediately. Don checked his tablet's database of known alien species. After a few seconds, he found a match. Korthok raiders, he said grimly. They're slavers and pirates, known for attacking peaceful civilizations. Captain Zexara was clearly trying to explain something urgent. She kept pointing at the approaching ships and making distressed sounds. Amy had an idea. She pulled up a simple drawing program on her tablet and quickly sketched pictures. First, she drew the Korthok ships attacking the Velthri vessel. Then she drew the Iron Eagle fighting the raiders. Zexara understood immediately. Her skin flashed, with colors that clearly indicated gratitude and relief. They're asking us to help them fight, Amy explained. Ryan looked at his small team and then at the approaching enemy fleet. 5 warships against 1 human vessel and a disabled alien ship. The odds were terrible. Sir? Major Wilson's voice came through the comm system from the Iron Eagle. We have incoming hostiles. 5 vessels, heavy weapons, and they're powering up for attack. Ryan made his decision. All personnel, back to the Iron Eagle. We're going to protect our new friends. As they ran back through the crystal corridors, Dawn stayed close to Captain Zek. He had become fascinated by these peaceful aliens and was determined to help them survive. Do you have any weapons at all? He asked, using the basic words they had learned. Zexara made sounds that clearly meant no. Her people had never needed weapons. What about your technology? Anything we can use? Zexara led them to a room filled with beautiful crystal devices. She showed them something that looked like a communications array. Long-distance talking, she said in broken English. Dan understood. You can call for help. Yes, but help is far, very far. Lisa was studying the Korthok ships through a crystal window. Those raiders are going to be here in 15 minutes. We need to move now. Ryan gathered his team. Coleman, Foster, you're with me on the Iron Eagle. Hughes, stay here and help the Velthri with their communications. See if you can call for backup. Sir, that leaves you with only 3 people against 5 warships, Dan pointed out. I know, but someone needs to protect these people, and we're all they've got. Amy looked scared, but determined. What's the plan, sir? Ryan checked his weapons one more time. We do what humans do best. We fight dirty, and we don't give up. As they prepared to undock from the Serenity's Dawn, Captain Zexara touched Ryan's arm. Her crystal skin was glowing with warm colors, and she made sounds that needed no translation. She was thanking him. Don't thank us yet, Ryan said. We still have to win. The Iron Eagle separated from the alien ship and turned to face the approaching Korthak fleet. The enemy vessels were larger and better armed, but they had never fought humans before. They were about to learn why. Earth was marked as a quarantine zone in the galactic databases. All stations ready, Major Wilson reported. Weapons charged, shields up. Remember, Ryan told his crew over the comm system, these aliens under our protection now. Nobody hurts our friends. The first Korthak ship opened fire with energy weapons that lit up the darkness of space. The battle for the Serenity's Dawn had begun. The Korthak fleet commander, War Chief Threxka, studied the small human vessel with amusement. His species had been raiding peaceful civilizations for centuries. This looked like another easy prize. One small ship, he growled to his weapons officer. Probably another group of helpless explorers. Disable it quickly so we can collect the slaves. The Korthak had scales like armor and claws designed for tearing flesh. They were bigger and stronger than most species in the galaxy. Their ships carried weapons that could destroy cities, but they had never fought Deathworlders. Before, Captain Ryan Bell watched the enemy fleet approach on his tactical display. 5 ships, each one twice the size of the Iron Eagle. His crew of 4 humans was about to face odds that would terrify most military forces in the galaxy. Wilson, evasive maneuvers. Coleman, target their lead ship. Foster, monitor their communications. Sir, Amy said, they're sending a message. The translator is working on it. The message came through in a voice that sounded like rocks grinding together. Small vessel, surrender immediately. Your cargo and crew now belong to the Korthak Empire. Resistance will result in painful death. Ryan activated his comm system. This is Captain Ryan Bell of the Earth vessel Iron Eagle. The beings on that disabled ship are under our protection. Turn around and leave, or we will consider you hostile. Threxka laughed when he heard the response. Earth never heard of it. Destroy the small ship. We'll take what we want from the wreckage. The first Korthak vessel fired its main weapons. Beams of superheated plasma streaked toward the Iron Eagle. Major Wilson twisted the ship into a spiral dive that would have killed most aliens from the gravitational forces alone. Humans, who had evolved in Earth's heavy gravity, barely noticed. Missed us completely, Wilson reported with a grin. These guys can't shoot for shit. Lisa Coleman locked onto the lead Korthak ship with her targeting system, firing plasma torpedoes. The Iron Eagle's weapons were designed for efficiency, not show. The torpedoes struck the enemy vessel's shields and overloaded them in seconds. How is that possible? Threxka roared as alarms filled his bridge. Their weapons are tiny. What the Korthak didn't understand was that human weapons were built for Earth's dangerous environment. They had to work perfectly the first time, every time, because on a death world, there were no second chances. All ships, attack pattern Gamma, Threxka ordered. Surround them. The 5 Korthak vessels spread out to encircle the Iron Eagle. It should have been an easy victory. Instead, Ryan saw it as an opportunity. They're trying to surround us, he told his crew. Perfect. Wilson, take us straight into the middle of their formation. Sir, that's insane, Amy said. Exactly. They won't expect it. The Iron Eagle accelerated directly toward the center of the enemy formation. The Korthak ships tried to adjust their positions, but Wilson was flying like a madman, pulling maneuvers that stressed the ship's structure to its limits. Ramming speed, Ryan ordered. Major Wilson grinned and pushed the engines to maximum power. The Iron Eagle shot toward the largest Korthak vessel, like a bullet, at the last second. Wilson rolled the ship and fired all weapons at point-blank range into the enemy's hull. The Korthok ship's armor, designed to stop long-range weapons, couldn't handle the concentrated firepower at zero distance. The enemy vessel exploded in a ball of fire and debris. "One down," Lisa said, with satisfaction. But the humans weren't done. Before the other Korthok ships could react, Ryan ordered the next phase of his plan. Boarding action. Coleman, prep the charges. "Sir?" Amy looked confused. "We're going to board their ships." "That's exactly what we're going to do." To the Korthok, this was impossible. No civilized species fought at close range anymore. Space battles were supposed to be conducted at safe distances, with energy weapons and missiles. But humans had learned to fight on Earth, where everything was close and personal. The Iron Eagle latched onto the side of the second Korthok vessel with magnetic clamps. Lisa Coleman placed explosive charges around the enemy ship's hull, while Wilson kept their attackers busy with defensive fire. "Charges set," Lisa reported. "Blow it." The explosion tore a hole in the Korthok ship's side. Ryan, Lisa, and Amy jumped through the breach wearing their combat armor, carrying weapons that would have been considered excessive by most galactic standards. The inside of the Korthok ship was dark and filled with smoke. The raiders were big and scary looking, with scales and claws that could tear through metal. But they moved slowly and thought even slower. Amy shot the first Korthok she saw with her plasma rifle. The alien went down like a falling tree, completely unprepared for the speed and violence of human combat. "Move fast, hit hard, don't stop," Ryan shouted as they fought their way through the ship's corridors. The Korthok had never faced enemies who moved like humans. On Earth, if you were slow, you died. The planet had taught humanity to strike first, strike hard, and never give their enemies time to recover. Lisa found the ship's power core and planted charges that would overload the entire system. Meanwhile, Ryan and Amy reached the bridge and captured the ship's captain. "Surrender," Ryan told the terrified Korthok officer, "or we blow this ship and everyone on it." The raider captain looked at the humans with something approaching terror. These small, soft-looking creatures had just torn through his crew like they were made of paper. "What are you?" he whispered. "We're humans," Ryan said, "and you just made a big mistake." The remaining 3 Korthok ships were trying to figure out what had happened when their second vessel exploded. The humans had taken it apart from the inside in less than 10 minutes. War Chief Threxka stared at his tactical display in disbelief. 2 of his ships were gone, destroyed by a tiny vessel with a crew of 4. "Retreat," he ordered. "All ships, full retreat." "Sir," his weapons officer said, "we still outnumber them 3-1. Look at what they did to our ships." Threx snarled. "These are not normal beings. They fight like demons from the void. We leave now before they kill us all." The remaining Korthok vessels turned and fled into deep space, their crews spreading word throughout the galaxy about the terrifying species they had encountered. Back on the Iron Eagle, Ryan and his team watched the enemy retreat with satisfaction. "Think they'll come back?" Amy asked. "Not anytime soon," Lisa said, checking her weapons. "Word will spread. Other raiders will know to avoid this system." Dan Hughes contacted them from the Serenity's dawn. "Captain, the Velthiri are safe. I helped them repair their communications array. They've called for a rescue ship from their home worlds." "Good work, Doc. How long until help arrives?" "About 6 months, but I think I can help them fix their life support systems to last that long." Ryan looked out at the beautiful alien ship, floating peacefully in space. The Velthiri were safe, and humanity had just announced its presence to the galaxy in a way that would never be forgotten. "Sir," Amy said quietly, "do you think we did the right thing?" Ryan thought about Captain Zaxara and her people. Peaceful explorers who had never hurt anyone, calling for help when their ship was dying. And the humans had answered that call. Not because they expected a reward, but because it was the right thing to do. Yeah, Foster. I think we did exactly the right thing. As the Iron Eagle prepared to escort the Serenity's Dawn to a safe harbor, news of the battle was already spreading through galactic communication networks. The peaceful species of the galaxy had learned about Earth and its inhabitants. They were dangerous, yes. Violent and unpredictable, certainly. But when someone called for help, when the innocent were threatened, the humans came running. They came locked and loaded, ready to fight impossible odds to protect people they had never met before. The galaxy would never be the same, and somewhere in the depths of space, other raiders and pirates were quietly removing Earth's solar system from their target lists. Some fights, they were learning, just weren't worth picking.